Anyway, so Jake, the president says that he's not involved in the indictment. And here's what he said just before it came down on Thursday. Take a listen.
I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know. You have very professional people headed up by the Attorney General and Todd Blanche and Lindsay Halligan, who's a very smart, good lawyer, very good lawyer. They're going to make a determination. I'm not making that determination. I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI. And but I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
But we all saw the directive he gave Pam Bondi last weekend, telling her to pursue his political enemies and do it now. So did Trump have a hand in this, or was what he wrote directly to Bondi enough? I mean, is that how he communicates with others in the government? Does he do it via social media, maybe DMs, or just broadly? And did anyone try to dissuade him from doing this, Jake?
So as far as I know, no one is intervening like you would have heard about through little leaks or sources close to Jared and Ivanka in Trump's first term that someone would try to dissuade him from doing something like this. I mean, this is just a very classic example of kind of how the top-down communication style works in Trump world, which is sort of that mafia adjacent, putting word out there. He loves to throw in the, well, it would be fine if I did anyway kind of thing at the end. So clearly, the fact that this came right at the buzzer in terms of the statute of limitations against James Comey, plus all of the documented behavior and vitriol President Trump has shown toward him over the last decade, basically, I think is all you need to know in this case.
Yeah, but is this how he communicates with his staff or with people, not necessarily his staff, who are going to be right around him, but is this how he might reach across town, just put out something on Truth Social?
Yeah, no, this is very much a stronger theme in Trump 2.0 and something that we at Wired reported on quite extensively with DOJ, where in both cases, a lot of, not just junior staffers, but people who are running point on, communicating, interfacing between the White House and agencies, they're not getting a phone call or having a briefing with senior staff on all this stuff. They are very much taking cues from social media, whether that was Elon posting on Twitter or Trump with Truth Social.
Stunning. So, Joyce, the president said there that he thinks he can get involved but chooses not to. Can he? Are his comments potentially undermining the DOJ's case, too?
Right. I mean, what Donald Trump can do and what Donald Trump should do are two entirely different things at this point, because there's no doubt that Jim Comey's lawyers, other lawyers, are taking very careful notes every time he posts something on social media or says something. This could do a lot of things that would be detrimental to a prosecution's case. It could, for instance, support a motion for vindictive or selective prosecution. It could support a motion for tainting the jury pool. This is not something that presidents do. I think it was back in the Nixon administration that President Nixon inadvertently commented on the guilt of Charles Manson from the Manson family and almost immediately walked it back to avoid any sort of taint to the public. What Trump is doing, though, is going beyond that sort of casual commentary. He's deliberately trying to direct who gets prosecuted and who doesn't. And that's an entire next level of problems in a country that prides itself on having a criminal justice system that's based on the law and the facts, not on the whims of a president who's trying to be some different kind of leader.
So, Joyce, senior prosecutors reportedly told the new acting U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, hey, not enough evidence to indict here. Is it unusual for an attorney to go against the advice of fellow office counsels, and particularly with such a high-profile case? Is there confidence she can handle it since she has never prosecuted a case? I mean, can you even foreshadow the kind of arguments she may use?
Well, as you say, Lindsay Halligan is not a prosecutor. She's certainly not qualified to be a United States attorney. That's a job where you have to have a lot of experience and good judgment in order to make effective decisions. And we're already seeing problems being discussed with this indictment. It's what in my office we used to call a skinny indictment. It's very short. In this first count, it was not clear from reading the case who the players involved were. In fact, many commentators believed that the reference to an anonymous person was to Andy McCabe, Jim Comey's former second in charge. It turns out that's not the case. The reference is to a Comey friend, Mr. Richmond, who was a special government employee. That may well mean that this indictment fails simply in the district court level because it's so unclear. And of course, charges about false statements require that the speaker, the defendant, in this case, Jim Comey, knew that the statement was false when he made it. And when you can't even tell what the statement is, well, it's really tough to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt of guilt.
Chris, even if they didn't agree privately, how does this affect rank and file agents seeing a former respected head of the FBI get indicted and battle such vitriol from the president?
Yeah, so Director Comey was obviously not without controversy. Obviously, both the left and the right had friction points with him. But I will tell you, within the FBI, he was well respected. He had a following. Line agents and intelligence professionals weren't interested and weren't involved in the politics of all of this. He was an inspirational leader. He was humble, and people thought he was taking the FBI in the right direction. So many of those agents and professionals still exist in the FBI, and to see this happening is definitely concerning, and to see the most recent mention of Director Wray as well is equally concerning, if not more so. Again, whether Director Wray and Director Comey made all of the right decisions, it's hard to say, but they were doing things for the right reasons. They were men of integrity, and they were trying to carry out the mission of protecting the United States, its citizens, and its Constitution.
I want to pick up on Chris Wray, because there's Trump's post today saying that former FBI Director Chris Wray has, quote, major explaining to do over the January 6th investigation. How do institutions, Chris, like the FBI and DOJ, how do they regain public trust after all this chaos? Has too much damage been done to believe just a change in leadership can return them to operating independently from the White House?
Well, I don't know that there's any way for the FBI to regain the public trust when lies and more conspiracy theories like this recent one are being put out. It's patently false. I will tell you, I spent a career working counterterrorism, both on international terrorism against Al-Qaeda and ISIS and Hezbollah, but also against domestic terrorism groups. And I am intimately aware of what happened on January 6th. And I can say without hesitation, there were not 274 FBI agents mixed in the crowd. This is just another conspiracy theory, and it is lying to the American people.